So here we go then, the second final of the day, our penultimate game of the weekend, and it is the women's final. And again, we see the South East Sharks in action and taking on the South East Taipans. And I'm delighted to say, to talk us through this final, we have Dan Harrison, who is to the right of me. Dan, it's been a long weekend, and it always, when it's coming down to these finals, it's always a mixture of nerves, but then that fatigue as well. And you obviously out there, of course, doing the refereeing the mixed final. And did you feel that out there as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 13 minutes to score in a final isn't unusual, because people are trying to work out what they're doing, get into their patterns and processes, and kind of manage the game situation. So it's not overly surprising that it does take a little while. Obviously, it's been a long 3 days as well, and fatigue will, as you say, creep in, and sometimes it's just that fine line. And I mean, in that particular final, it was interesting to see how that game shaped up, actually, because it looked very even for a long period of time.
Yeah, and did you feel South East Sharks were well worthy? Well, obviously on the scoreline it looked like, of course, but well worthy overall? Yeah,
I mean, their execution was pretty good. The difference really was it was a fairly even grind. Every time they managed to get towards the line, both teams, it was the sort of final pass, the final set of execution really that set the difference. So yeah, worthy winners, I think, and it came brilliantly off of good attacking play and identifying and finding scoring opportunities, which is a lot better than sort of maybe a 1-0 defensive masterclass, as it were.
And just that final word on that final, Chris Wall, brilliant performance by him, and deserving MVP, would you say?
He's just consistently a good attacking threat. Having played against him, he's really hard to defend because he's got two threats. He can throw a long ball, but he can also really get underneath you and do a dive. So yeah, absolutely, I'd say well deserved. But you could have picked a couple of others in that Shark side, I think. So I'm sure he wouldn't mind sharing it out. He's had a few.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's a very good player, an experienced player as well. And as we turn our attention now, and it's the women's, of course, South East Sharks taking on the South East Taipans, and a game that should be another, of course, all these finals potentially have the chance to be, but it should be a really even game, this one.
They usually are against these two. I mean, you've got a very sort of diverse group of players that you can pick from in the South East, and you end up with brilliantly balanced sides that are very good at doing different things. They get selected to do different jobs, and obviously from an attacking perspective, from a tournament perspective, it's probably been building up to this all weekend. Actually, you're not surprised sometimes when you see these two teams always in the final, but generally, the results will come out and put these two somewhere near there.
Yeah, we saw the South East Taipans in action in their semi-final against the West Wildcats earlier on, and it was a really overall complete performance. And there's some key individuals in this side, alongside, of course, got Naomi Fairnett, who's in that side for the Taipans. So it should be a relatively very close game. And here they come again, and
could be the first score then. No,
is it? No, referee.
I think there's a check going on. So yeah, that. There's a quick chat just to go through the decision-making process.
And there
Score's been awarded.
Yeah, confirmation of the Taipans and the first score. And it was patient build-up, lovely work. And especially when the fatigue has kicked in. After a long weekend, to have that patience, it's pretty pivotal, isn't it? Yeah,
what's helped there is that the referee's called, for want of a better word, an advantage. So they've allowed the attacking team to try and get through and create the scoring opportunity by calling the player offside until they've made that 5. So they've called a good advantage. Let the play continue, see what develops, and if there would have been a breakdown in play, they might have gone back to blow that penalty if the referees deemed that there wasn't sufficient advantage. So that's good play on call for me. But the grounding was good. If the player's offside, the player's offside.
Oh, lovely movement inside, trying to get over the line. Hudson was there, one of the leading players in Europe, of course. Such a talent in this Shark setup, and here she goes once again. Does she sneak through? It looks like
great feet. Great feet.
That's just individual brilliance, isn't it?
Sometimes you can't do anything about it. Defensively, I mean, the burst step there, find the gap, get the ball down. it's sometimes sickeningly touch is a very simple game. It's 12 players running around a field throwing a ball around, and sometimes some people have a habit of making it look far too easy, as far as I'm concerned.
And for yourself, Dan, of course, long weekend, of course, for you and the referees. What's it been like out there? It must be tough, physically and mentally, I'm sure.
Well, thankfully, I'm done, and I snuck a quick sip of a beer after that final had finished. So yeah, we're all good now. It's done, but there's another 6 referees who've still got work to do, and potentially another 2 or 3, team ref members who'll be water carrying, doing scorecard duties and things like that. So yeah, absolutely, job's not done. But personally, on my note, glad I'm done running now, and I can just kind of enjoy the touch and see some of the best touch players in England practice the game.
Absolutely, yeah. Better though than these 2 sides involved, and a brilliant dive again, and it looks like it's going to be given, is it?
Yep.
Well, there we go. Definitely worth
Long
another
low
look.
dive. So sweep here, get low. Yeah, good score. Just wrapping around, attacking the touching player, who's obviously got further to go back to make the line to be in an onside position. Identify that, and you've got 2 options there. You can either go on the inside and get underneath the feet, or you can go on the outside if you've got the speed to burn around. And in that situation, that's a good score, good low dive, and really attacking that offside player.
It's got the makings of potentially being a high-scoring end-to-end game, and here they come straight away, the Sharks. No messing about. There's one of the main instigators in the attack, Lois Lau. She's always in the middle of all things positive for the Sharks, and whoever she's playing for, the CSSC. Normally she plays trade. Here's Hudson again going in for the line, and Greg Cropper shaking his head and saying it's going to be a score.
Yeah, good orchestrator, Lois. She's just run that, set the play up how she wants it. She's put herself in the position to make the attacking strike dump and put the ball player to go and get that long low dive. Pretty similar setup, really. You can't. Sometimes you just can't beat attacking an offside player. If you've got the speed to get through, then you're going to score.
Well, it just does get the feeling that it's going to be one of those games that it's a bit of a nip and tuck all the way.
This will be tit for tat, and whoever has the conditioning and fitness to get through to the final few minutes, and sometimes it can be the final few minutes that really make the difference. Sometimes you can get a score or 2 ahead, and then that really causes some challenges for the opposition. So yeah, this could be end to end. Lots of scores, and I can tell you from a refereeing perspective, the worst thing in the world ever for these 3 referees. You've got Anne, Greg and Laura Balfour here. They will absolutely not want to go to drop off. This will be for everybody's sake, let's try and get the game done in 40 minutes. But hey, sometimes the best touch is in that final drop off situation.
Of course, yeah. So yeah, a reminder that if we are level at the scores after the 40 minutes, we will go to that drop off, and we'll, if the situation does arise, we will talk you through.
I hope you're not going to ask me to explain that.
It's a really unique part of the sport, isn't it? A drop off. It's really good to watch, but horrible to play, and I've heard.
A couple of drop-off situations that I've been involved in, they're never very fun, and thankfully I've never gone to a 3-on-3 situation, because that is the worst possible feeling, I imagine. 3 players on 3 with a big 50-metre wide field, you end up exhausted after 40 minutes worth of touch as well. That's not a good thing. So yeah, very unique. It creates a great spectacle. And quite often, again, the difference is who can keep calm and composed after a long weekend of touch in that final situation. Part of the game now is as much mental conditioning and having the strength as it is the physical conditioning, because you can have the best body in the world ever, but if your head goes down, and you can't concentrate, you sometimes end up in a situation where you can't execute the plays that you want to.
Yeah, and I think we'll more likely see obviously the players with that international experience really come to the fore in these finals. Like you said, they're mentally, for sure.
Yeah, they're experienced players. They've been in the situation before. They know what they're doing. Universally, whether it's a normal game or a drop-off situation, they'll manage the game properly and try to put themselves into an attacking position. But sometimes you can't separate yourself, and that means that you go into that sort of scenario. But yeah, there are some very, very strong-minded and very strong-willed characters here who will absolutely look to control the game and make sure that they keep everybody focused and working on getting the right outcome.
And again, just another really good attacking phase, just having to stop just on the 5 metre. It was looking good, a nice flow, but it's been pulled back, and a turnover for the South East Taipans.
Yeah, it looks like a late pass award there, so player again has been touched and then thrown the pass afterwards. So good spot by the referee team there, allows the play to continue. And I mean, the speed of this game, you know, we're 10 minutes, just over 10 minutes into this game after 3 days of touch, and they are not slowing down. You know, there is real attacking threat and intent here. You know, they're not going to take the foot off the gas at all.
And there we go. Taipans are back in front, is it? Or are we just having some confirmation with the referee? Greg Cropper is just there in your picture.
Thank you, ref. Let's go, girls. Options on.
So I didn't see the referee signal there, but there was a penalty infringement Taipans gave away that's changed the ball over. So on the 5 metre line, Sharks have got to work their way all the way down the field. They'll probably run a subset here, so they'll look to exit the field towards their own box, put some fresh legs on. And if you watch now, what they'll take is another touch here and probably see a sweep where the ball will get distributed or punched straight up the middle. And on 5th touch here, they'll just look to take off and create some attacking threat.
It looked very nice to watch, but it
was very nice, but looks like a forward pass.
Yeah, so an unfortunate last pass. It was looking really good for the Sharks.
Look at the speed of that. I mean, you know, straight away changeover happens, penalty for Taipans. They start to the tap straight away and they get moving. I mean, in this situation, it's unlucky that there may be a changeover of possession there, but you know, again, they are not taking their foot off the gas. This will be all about staying in the grind and making sure you put your mindset and your style of play against the opposition to condition them into defending the way you want them to.
Here is Lewis Lau, always at the heart of things for the Sharks. Look to get the layoff, but it's just having to be pulled back slightly. Maybe just a misjudgment there, but still with possession of the ball, looking to try and get towards the 5 metre. Space potentially opening up left, floating the ball out, space to run into, and an easy finish. And that's one of the more easier finishes we've seen so far in this final. And the Sharks, after having a few opportunities, have finally got their third.
It's great skills. Normal 3-on-2 situation. In that situation, you're looking to execute simple passes, get the ball into the space for somebody to walk in, and you know they're sometimes the best kind of touch scores that you can get. But it was good skills under pressure again and under fatigue to get the passes away and get the score in the corner there. Sometimes you take a step back to make sure you get the momentum to go forward to create that type of opportunity. Sweet play coming in.
Yeah. And Taipans straight away heading towards the goal line, and they've got another fresh set of 6, and that is always so draining, isn't it, when you have to repeat set?
Yeah, absolutely. So Sharks were kind of one down in the series, as it were, of scores here. So Sharks have made that back up now, and they've gone one ahead. So it will be really important for their mindset to defend this out and make sure that they keep a clear. Or they keep this scoreline clear here now, so they've got 1 score advantage, get a good subset and come back and try to get another score to give themselves a 2-score advantage. So that's 2 penalties that Anne's blown there for not advancing, so they've not moved forwards off of the goal line.
Well,
so reward that. It's quick thinking, very quick thinking.
Fantastic. Well, that is incredible from the Taipans, and like you said, Dan, just brilliant quick thinking, just mindset of going in for that line, and you can see the players talking through it and weren't being aware, and brilliant finish. And it was Claire Waddell going in, and the Taipans, well, it's 3 apiece.
They look pretty cool and collected in the box, don't they? Both teams, you know, they know that this type of game will often go down to the wire. You can't separate these 2 teams too easy, so you know they won't worry too much. It will be patterns, processes, routine, and it will be about, again, putting themselves into situations where they can get the score.
And again, the Sharks looking to try and finish off another really nice move, but good defensive work by the Taipans. Even though it's 3 apiece, both sets of defences have been pretty stubborn so far. Going to have to really hold it together for the final 25 minutes of this final.
Yeah, the scores have come from good play. You know, sometimes you just can't defend a 3-on-2 with the best will in the world. You can end up in a situation where you just can't stop somebody from being on your outside because your defensive setup says that you either shut in, which creates a natural overlap, and a good pass or a good executed piece of skill means that somebody will get a score. Touch is a scoring game. You want to see lots of scores, so it'd be boring if it was a kick fest like Union sometimes in the cold, wet weather can be. Yeah,
it's certainly not cold and wet here in Cambridgeshire, and it's really helped to actually bring out some really good scores. The weather really does play a part in touch, and with the weather, it's been like all weekend here in Cambridgeshire, sweltering hot, 30-degree weather. We've seen some pretty incredible scores, haven't we?
Yeah, scorching touch as well. Scorching weather,
yes.
Scorching touch has been good. Again, good skills. So again, another good example of that. Some good feet, managing to get through a gap. A defender worried about her outside, trying to make sure that she could cover out if the pass went away. Managed to put the foot on the gas, get through the gap, and get that score. So yeah, we are 3-4 minutes away from half time, and this should be 4-3. I think this is going to absolutely go down to the wire.
It certainly looks that way, doesn't it? The Sharks then leading by 4-3 over the South East Taipans, and it's just got the makings of one of those games that we've mentioned briefly, that it's just going to be sort of you score, we score, who's going to come out on top. It's going to be close, it's going to be tight and tense. You don't want to leave your TV screens for this one. And again, a lovely floated pass, or fizz pass I should say, out to this left hand side. Good take, so still alive are the Taipans.
So loss of control there. Couldn't quite see how the play was developing, but final pass didn't quite come off in the scoring situation there. So you're now in a position where Sharks again have got to do all the hard yards starting from their 5-metre line. But there is nothing better again as a player than getting into that sub box after you've just done a really hard D set. You want to make sure you get off and you put a load of fresh legs on the field. As a referee, again, the interchange as well that you get after that, particularly if you've been in a big midfield drive and you've been managing that, you want to make sure that you get a fresh ref on, and they're clear-headed, can make a good call.
So just over 2 minutes then remaining, and the Sharks just have this narrow advantage, but still a bit of time before the break for the South East Taipans to get up the other end and get a score. And these are the parts of the game which could be crucial just before the break. Can swing the momentum.
It's going to be interesting to see how the Taipans approach this. So fifth touch here, they're looking to get through that middle channel and create a scoring opportunity. Didn't quite come off there, but for Taipans now, the key set will be to D out this full set from Sharks, so they're going to want to make sure they make all 6 touches as far up the field as they possibly can, and you never know, you might get another opportunity to get a set of line attack, and from there, who knows what happens. See exactly this situation. There's a changeover of possession there inside the Sharks half. You've got 6 touches now for Taipans to have a go with, and a minute and a half, and a minute and a half can be a long time to create a scoring opportunity, particularly if Taipans move the ball around and create space by spreading the Sharks defenders across the field.
This is a lovely move so far, and it looks like they've weaved through, and it looks like they've
a touch called there, so touch called, and the players acknowledged it as well, so that's good honesty all round. Players said, yeah, happy I was touched, let's set a line attack. Another sweeper here.
Good defence from the Sharks. Are really staying diligent. Only seconds remaining in this first half.
That was that player Lois Lau again. Just came up, sniped from the link position to make sure that her middle was safe. She looked after her middle there, made sure she didn't have to work too hard to recover. So great piece of defensive touch there.
They've really soaked this up in the final few moments. And again, an opportunity here for the South East Taipans. They've given a few penalties on the 5 metre mark, haven't the Sharks?
Yeah, that should, that will concern them in the box, I imagine, because they'll want to make sure that they're squeaky clean going into the second half, so that they don't give those repeat sets away. So yeah, and you don't want to give too many away, because on the second penalty you end up in a situation where a player has to go to the box. So I'm sure that's something they're going to work on in the second half.
And that is that for the first 20 minutes. The hooter does go, and well, what a game and what a final we've got on our hands. And it's only the South East Sharks who lead by their narrowest of margins going into the break. And myself and Dan will be back for the start of the second half in a couple of moments' time. So just before we start the second half of this women's final, and this fascinating final between the South East Sharks and the South East Taipans, we are going to go to pitch side where Chris is there.
Yeah, thanks, Brad. I'm joined by Chris Simon, the newly appointed Chief Executive of England Touch. Chris, after a weekend like this, you're at JTC last week, great finish in the World Cup. What else is there left to do?
Hi Chris, I mean it's just been a phenomenal 2 weeks particularly, but the World Cup for England was great as well, and I think it's the right time now to really think about how we can take this sport forward in the country. At the performance level, we're demonstrating that we're dominating in Europe at most levels. I think we want to go and compete internationally with the likes of Australia, New Zealand, South Africa in some divisions. It's now time, I think, to work out how we can grow the base for this sport and getting us into schools, getting young people playing the sport across the whole country, and there's pockets where it's played really, really well. We want to take that across the whole of the UK.
When you've got a voluntary organisation, which England Touch is, 99% of it is voluntary. Whereabouts do you start with all of that? What priorities do you have first up?
I think there's a few things we can do really. For me, I'd like to look at where we're already strong in those regions in schools, and there's a number of those. Peterborough's done a fantastic job yesterday in the 15s and in the 18s. I know there's a really strong setup in Canterbury. Down in the southwest is good. And obviously Nottingham is really good as well. We need to focus on those areas to try and work out why is touch working in schools and with young people, and try and use that model to take it elsewhere. I think if we can get that really going well over the next 6 months into next spring, then hopefully we can generate a bit more focus, profile and publicity for the sport across the board.
And the Euro Championships next year is in Nottingham, which it was last year as well. What legacy have you seen on that, back at Nottingham Club off the back of the 2018 Euros?
Definitely growing numbers of kids wanting to pick up the ball and play touch from all codes of rugby, but also those not just in rugby, so those that just fancy a game. It's a very athletic sport, very, very social. Mixed gender has been great, keeping kids involved, and certainly from the teens when their minds and other things might wander, and they love playing in an environment where it's a mixed sport. And the other thing for Nottingham for us is really about maximising the commercial opportunity. We've got a lot of interested bodies locally that want to get involved, and we need to really make that work. There's a massive amount of economic impact that Nottingham has benefited from the last Euros, and we need to maximise that this next year.
This is, I think, by all consensus, the toughest sports sponsorship market that there is at the minute. So in terms of when you're coming into that at a time when England Touch really needs the money in order to expand, expand? How can you connect with sponsors? Who are you aiming for? For that income which can almost break the sport out of the glass box that it's in.
I think in looking at the Euros particularly, there's a couple of opportunities. One around the sports tourism model, mentioned the economic impact, and there's a lot of interested parties locally that want to maximise that. It's over £500,000 that's being spent in Nottingham as a result of hosting the Euros, and we will grow that without a doubt next year, and we need to generate some of the public funding and private sector funding on the back of it. And the other side is, as I mentioned, in terms of the youth market, that's where we can really, I think, bring some money into the sport.
And next year's Euros is not just the European Championships. We're welcoming teams from across the world in an international series, which is brand new. In terms of, let's talk in terms of the tournament first off, having teams from as far afield as potentially Japan, the USA, South Africa. What's that going to mean for the sport in the area?
Well, I think in Nottingham, certainly from a university perspective, they're a global university. So connecting with parts of the Far East, certainly Malaysia, Singapore, it's really important to them. And I think it's important to a lot of the UK now. It's a global market. We're not just about England. So any teams we can encourage to take part, not just from within Europe, but definitely as we get closer to the world over the next few weeks, I think is only a good thing.
And also in terms of to keep the sport on the map, from a high performance perspective, this is from this weekend. The squad will be chosen for the winter training before the Euros as well, in terms of how things are set and the work being done by Ben Powell and Sammy Phillips and Pippa Burke in terms of the elite performance setup. How much credit are you giving to them at the minute?
Well, I think I chatted to Sammy last week at JTC, and to win 4 goals, go unbeaten, 27 out of 29 wins and 2 draws is a phenomenal achievement for that team. I think they should be congratulated on all they've done. Ben's now newly in his post as high performance director, and I'm really pleased for him. And I think it's the next step up for us is to take it to the global market in terms of our performance as well.
And in terms of the operations side of things as well, Zoe Malarkey, our events manager, but also Greg Cropper, chief operating officer, in terms of the groundwork that's been done to build that, to build the rest of it on, there's been a lot of work done in there as well.
Absolutely. I think Greg, when he was a volunteer and previous chief executive of the sport, put an awful lot in, and since he's been COO, I think it's just taken that to the new level. Everything has been going really well, and I think my point is really to work alongside Greg and spread some of that workload and really help on growing the sport over the next months and hopefully years.
Chris, thank you very much for your time. We'll go back to Brad and Dan Harrison just to talk you through the rest of this game, the South East derby between the Sharks and the Taipans. Back to you, Brad.
Well, thank you very much, Chris, from pitch side, and we are back underway here in this semi-final, the second half of this women's semi-final. South East Taipans taking on the South East Sharks, and I'm of course delighted to say still with me is Dan Harrison, and it's been a long weekend, but we're still here, we're still going.
I'll be honest, Brad, there was a moment where I was going to go to the bar and just leave you on your own, but no, I'm not that cruel.
It's well, especially with a game this close, it's exciting tough, isn't it?
Great touch, yeah. In 2 parts, I'm glad that I'm inside here because there's a little bit of AC and it's a little bit of cool, and I'm not quite melting out in the sun. But yeah, we're going to be treated to a good second half here. This second half is the first 5 minutes of this game. This second half, will be absolutely crucial because it will determine who comes out on top. You've got a 1-score advantage for Sharks at the minute. It can very quickly turn if Taipans get one back and continue to get some go forward.
Here's Naomi Furnett then crossing over the halfway line. She's a key figure in this Taipan side. But the turnover on the halfway and how crucial that potentially could be. You've just spoken quite rightly, Dan, about that first 5 minutes of the second half. And at the moment, the Sharks do lead by that solitary point. Needing by 4 points to 3. But if they can get 2 in front, that could prove absolutely vital.
Yeah, so Sharks running a subset there, so decided to take the penalty, move the ball over to their sub-box side, and bring some playmakers on to try and create some attacking threat on the Taipan scoreline. So they've got a few touches to go here. They'll look to go forward, get the defence moving back, and then try and get the all-important 2-score gap.
Here's Olivia Ray. Lewis Lowers in support, but opts to go to the right-hand side. And just that loose pass by Emily Crow. It was running out of yards over on that far side, and it was good defence in the end by the Taipans, really stifling that Sharks attack. And now an opportunity for the South East Taipans to really get up the other field. Can they drive on? They need the next score to get back to all square.
just watch how hard both teams work now for this next 15 minutes or so. Sharks will go hell for leather in defence here to make sure they keep that gap and remove the scoreline from play for the Taipans, and the Taipans will be putting all their effort into going forward and trying to get that score. So I think this is a 5th touch play here. So touch made, and that's a change over there.
Well, the next score looks like it's going to be absolutely crucial, and the Sharks now with the chance to try and drive up the other end of the field and get some fresh legs on. And again, it's another opportunity and another chance where the Sharks can drive up and still full of energy and going forward, but turnover, and the Taipans will be relieved and they can just take a deep breath and go again.
Yeah, Laura Balfour, they're calling the Sharks player for having her hips not square, so have to roll the ball parallel to the score line. So you have to keep your hips square to that score line, otherwise it's a changeover in play. So gives Taipans great attacking opportunity here. They can again bring some fresh legs on and try and take the Sharks and run them hard.
And here is Naomi Furnett. To the left of her is Claire Waddell, but opportunities to go on the left hand side. That's an unbelievable take, and it looks like a superb finish. It is. And we were saying that the first score could be absolutely crucial, and it is the Taipans who've got it. Fantastic play by Naomi Furnett, and in the end it was Katie Fielding coming in, and it's 4 apiece of 14 to go.
2 absolutely brilliant things there. Getting a decent roll ball on the 5-metre line, bursting through into the in-goal area, throwing a great right to left pass, and finding a winger who put a great finish in there. You know, under pressure with a defender right on top of her, getting the ball down really fast. No doubt at all that that score was good, and they've both done a really good job in bringing the scores level here.
So 4 apiece. Who's going to blink first then? Who's going to get potentially the next score? It looks like it could be Sharks, although...
Yeah, Sharks scores good. So Link's been honest there and said that she's missed the touch, so she's run off the field. Great honesty again. It's a honesty-based sport, and Emily Crowe, I think it is, dives in off of a good score. So Sharks obviously quite happy to get 1 score back on top now.
Well, the Sharks responding straight away, and that's the perfect response. And with just over 13 minutes to go, we're back to where we were only about 30 seconds to a minute ago, and the South East Taipans have to sum up one more bit of energy to go again. Here's Sophie Arpasnut in the middle. Lovely wrap round to feed off and try and get the pass out to this near side. And again, this defence from the Sharks covering really well. Back into the middle, Sophie Arpasnut again in the heart of things. Just laying it off. Anya and Arthur not going in for the line, needs the support, does well, trying to block out all the options, but they can't block out that one. And again, we are all square. The Taipans leveling it again. Sophie Arthur not doing really well, and it is Katie Fielding there too in the space of a minute for her. 5-5, Dan.
Similar setup. Getting through the middle. Once they've got through the middle, they find the wing who has got some space this time, so a bit less pressure in terms of the touch, but just getting through, throwing a decent sympathetic pass and letting it finish. You know, again, what's really interesting about this is that both sides are going tit for tat. They're getting that score. They're absolutely both working hard to stay in the game, and you know, this will come down to either, in my view, 1 piece of attacking brilliance right towards the end of the game, or a defensive piece of brilliance, or something along those lines. You know, this is going to be a great 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's really shaping up to be a exciting, intense 11.5 minutes, and it's the Sharks at the moment looking to try and get back in front, and a dive comes in early. Good defensive work again, and it might come down to potential individual brilliance. The number 17, Susanna Hudson, one of the finest women's players in Europe. She could be a key figure in this match, but let's see if the Sharks can weave their way through. Well, just dancing at, almost just ghosting past the Taipans defence. Again, it won't count. It was Emily Irons trying to get through there again.
Great touch. Great attacking feet. Sharks have got, I think this is the second touch. There's another few touches here for them to have a play with. That's a a really good looking pass. Sadly couldn't quite find that wing to get over in the corner. You know, they'll feel that might be an opportunity lost there, but I can tell you that won't put their heads down. You know, they are looking very threatening in attack, and I think it's something that you know, the Taipans will want to watch for, because there's a threat short and there's a threat long, and the reality is they're going to have to work hard in defence. Both sides are going to have to work hard in defence. You know, some of the scores have been absolutely brilliant in this game.
It certainly has been, and you get the intentions that there's going to be even more drama to come. And that's a turnover now for the Sharks deep inside their own half. Just as the Taipans were just building up a head of steam there, they were good momentum into that attack, but just halted, and now the Sharks looking to try and drive forward, get towards their subs box again. That's going to be an important factor going into this final 10 minutes, keeping the legs fresh, rotating well, and making sure the momentum of the attack stays as well. Getting up towards the 10 metre, just stopped in the tracks.
Just look at how hard all the teams are working. You know, they are absolutely putting all of their energy in. They know this is their last, 10 minutes now, and they can give it their all, because there's a well-earned drink after this, and another final to come, of course, that they can enjoy watching. But it'll be absolutely important for them to leave everything out there on the field now.
As the South East Sharks now looking to try and attack it during the middle, and another good piece of play. Olivia Ray was also in there alongside her. There's Julia Unsworth. She's another key player in this Shark setup as well. Olivia Ray's there. Julia Unsworth is just to the left. She has it now. Stops in her tracks. Just waits for that perfect opportunity to try and get through. But this Taipan's defence remains really stubborn. And you can see they're organised, well drilled, and they're getting back to their marks when they need to. Olivia Ray looking to go out right, and Julia Unsworth was there. And again, this Taipan's defence just really solid at the moment, Dan.
Yeah, you may not hear it, but there is a lot of little chat going on in there. They're just small little bits of conversation to make sure everybody knows what they're doing, what their position is, what their responsibility is, whether they need to corner, which is to follow the shape of the ball, or whether they need to tuck under and stay straight, to look after the threat from something short. So, good defence comes from good communication, and I can tell you these teams will talk a lot and make sure that everybody knows their roles and responsibilities. It will be pretty clear to everybody what they need to do when they're defending that line.
Nikki Bird there for the Taipans was just coming forward, and it's now spread over to that left-hand side and almost jinking left and right, almost so much that she got herself into a bit of a spin, and it's now a turnover for the Sharks. And it's just quite right, Dan. It's just the amount of energy these sides are exerting this for one final push, and still at 5 apiece. Both sides locked in. Who's going to blink first? Who's going to take the advantage? And again, the Sharks building up nicely again. Here's Susanna Hudson over to that right-hand side, and it's just fallen short. And they just have to reset again. And the Taipans will just sharp intake of breath and look to go once more.
I was just about to say exactly the same thing. It will be a big suck in of breath. Remember your roles, responsibilities. Do the drill that you've practiced hundreds of times during all of your training sessions. Exit the field cleanly. Give yourself and your teammates an attacking platform so they can go forward and try to get that score to take you on top again. But hugely important now that they remain calm and composed.
Claire Waddell now. She's another really key player. Naomi Furnett, just couldn't float it off. And we do have a clash between the two Sharks players in the middle. Looks like they might be just okay, just getting to their feet now. Don't want to be losing players at such a key moment. It was a nasty collision, and it's good to see both players are all right.
100%. There's some tough cookies in there. They're not going to sub. They're going to want to defend this last final touch out. If it's fifth, sixth coming, they're going to want to make sure they defend the line and hold out.
Naomi Furnett now finds her partner Claire Waddell, and looking to try and run another move, and over the 5 metre dive in comes early. Greg Cropper.
It's a penalty for offside there, so touch was made, but the player was offside first, so it's a repeat set of 6 on the line for the Taipans here, and that is really important. 5-6 minutes to go. They are going to have to work really hard now, the Sharks, to make sure they keep this line solid, work hard to get forward, deny the space for the Taipans to play, put pressure on them, and this is hugely important.
So Taipans, Naomi Finn looks to try and get the ball out to this right-hand side, just eyes in front of her. And at the moment, we are heading to a drop-off, and we've briefly had a chat about it in the first half. And with both these sides giving so much now, it's a drop-off is going to be an absolute slogfest, you'd feel, if it does get to that point.
It might come down to who's got that last little bit of energy in their legs to make a break or run around the outside or something along those lines. Touch is a brilliant game, but it can be very cruel. Nobody wants to be in a drop-off situation, really. But sometimes that's the only way you can separate the teams, you know. And at the minute, I mean, these teams are lockstep in terms of their scoring, in terms of the momentum and the effort and energy they're putting in. You know, this is going to be really interesting to see how these next 4 minutes develop and see who can maybe differentiate themselves or maybe they can't. You know, maybe it does have to go to that drop-off situation.
Nikki Bird just popping it off there to Katrina Weir, and back into the centre now. This is the part of the game where it really does start to get tense and tight, and every pass and move is so crucial. And even from, I know Dan, obviously you're a referee, and even from the referee's point of view, they've got to be switched on at these points.
You don't want to have a situation where you're not able to think clearly. So one of the things that referees will work on is their ability to make decisions under fatigue and pressure. It's one of the things that we're constantly reminded is that you need physical conditioning to make sure you can make the right call at the right time in the right situation. So the one thing I can say is there's a good referee crew on this field. They're going to make some clear calls. They're going to make sure they communicate to the players and make it the players' destiny. That's exactly what we're looking for, is that this should be up to the players to be able to split themselves apart.
So 3.5 minutes remaining. Are we going to see a winner? Will we go to drop off? Don't turn your TV off. Don't go anywhere. This is going to go right down to the wire, you feel. Here's Sophie Arpinot looking to fling the ball out to the left-hand side. Good defensive work to get spread out and make sure they stop that attack.
Good scramble. Good cover in the corner. Make sure that you've got man on. Oh, wonderful feet there.
Brilliant score, and just when they needed a bit of individual brilliance. And it's well worth another look on the replay again. A superb turn away, and you can see the desperation in that dive. And it is the South East Taipans, who are down at half-time, remember, now lead, and how much a momentum boost that could be with 2.5 to go.
100%, but Sharks are not going to take their foot off here. You know, this is going to be a big set for them. They're going to look to go forward. They're starting from halfway. They can run an attacking play from a tap-off situation, look to manipulate those Taipans defenders, put them into the position that they want, or even if they don't want, they have the attacking players to take advantage of whatever's presented to them.
Oh, an incredible take and dive, but it's not going to count. And for all that work, here's Susanna Hudson, ball into the middle. Emily Krog spraying it off. Lois Lau, what can she do? What can she conjure up in this final 2 and a bit minutes? Emily Irons, brilliant work from Naomi Ferner, and you can see she's in no rush to get the ball and to get it going, and this is really where game management comes into play, doesn't it?
Yeah, you're going to want to make sure you get that clean exit, but equally what you're not going to want to do is put yourself into a position where you earn the referee's wrath. In that situation, sometimes a little bit of complacency can creep in and cause you some issues. So, in this situation, there's a delay of play there, so the ball hasn't gone back quickly enough to the Sharks, to the referee's liking. He's moved the play 10 metres downfield, and it brings the line into play now for the Sharks. And like we spoke about, cool heads, calm composure here. It's important for Sharks to complete the process, make sure they run the routine, and for Taipans equally, just to make sure that they keep their shape and don't let the Sharks manipulate what they want to see.
Well, here we go. This could be the opportunity now. And now into the middle. Just good defensive work again by the Taipans.
Good snipe touch there, a bit of space created. Sharks nearly had an attacking opportunity, but good recovery and a good touch near the line.
See Emily Irons is poised to receive the ball. She has it now. Lois Lau back into Irons. Oh, brilliant again. And the ball just looked like it was loose. It was. And loss of control. And you can see the frustration straight away from the Sharks and the Taipans. Well, that's a real bonus for them.
Yeah, they're going to want to exit cleanly here, make sure they retain control. I mean, that's cute there. Clever, take your time, make sure you get the roll ball right, check the referee's mark, make sure that you do the basics well here. Exit is absolutely crucial.
So seconds remaining of what's been a pulsating women's final, and it is the South East Taipans who look like they're on their way to claim the gold medals. Over the 10-metre mark they go. They're well into Sharks territory. And it is turned over, but surely out of time. There goes the hooter. And there is the full-time whistle, and what a result it's been for the South East Taipans in what was a brilliant final between two sides who gave it all this weekend, but it's just the Taipans who have come out on top. And Dan, just a quick word on the Taipans. A brilliant victory, but a superb game as well.
Nip and tuck all the way. That came down to good decision making, but like we said, an individual piece of brilliance right at the end of the game. Great feat, great effort from the Sharks defensively, not quite being able to make it, but that's somebody working really hard to create the space, get through, get that scoring opportunity, and put them on ahead. So, absolutely brilliant game and enjoyable to watch from here.
It certainly was, and our next final will be the South East Sharks taking on the Northwest Blades. Dan, thank you very much for joining us for this women's final. And just actually quickly, we have to pick an MVP. Is there anybody in particular that you'd like to point out that you feel that's had a really good game in the final?
Oh wow, that's really, really tough to pick. I think you've got to go with a winning side. I think there's a few special mentions. Naomi Firner, 17, did a really good job, but I think you've got to go with the try scorer at the end, who managed to split the difference. That's that one crucial score made all the difference there. I think it was number 4 who got that final score.
Well, that brings an end then to our second final. We now move on to our third and final game of the weekend. It is the men's final, the South East Sharks and the Northwest Blades.
I don't mind who presents. I do want Ben to come and have a chat with him. Yeah. You know, you say that. How difficult has it been for me to try and get women to talk about this sport on air and stuff like that? Really hard. Thank you.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
And I can burglarize it.
Players and officials, if you'd like to make your way up to the pitch ready to play. Players and officials, stand by.
So here we go then. Our third final of the afternoon, our final game of the weekend in fact, and it is the men's final as we see the Northwest Blades taking on the South East Sharks. And I'm delighted to say, joining myself, Brad Hope, next to me is Ed Budge. And Ed, this should be a fascinating matchup.
It really should. I mean, the last few men's finals that we've seen here at Nationals over the last few years have all been fantastic games, and we've got a really, really strong start here right away.
Yeah, the Northwest Blades getting off to the perfect start. Let's have another look at this on the replay. Brilliant flinged out pass. It is Johnny Leota getting the ball out, and a confident and assured finish by Liam Lawton. And what a start that is for the Blades.
No, it's fantastic stuff from the Blades. That's just what you want. I mean, they've got that skill set. Sharks are going to have to be aware of that for the rest of the game. They've got a lot of ball playing ability in this Blades side, and if the Sharks are going to play tight in defence and compress in, then they might be vulnerable to some of that stuff out wide. So we'll see how they adjust. See if the Blades come back with the same thing next time.
Yeah, the Sharks get their first chance to really attack the line, and again going over. Now the touch called by the referee. So at the moment the Blades one up in attack and defending well at the moment, but of course only a minute and 20 gone, so still a long way to go. But the Sharks trying to apply this early pressure, and you can just see just trying to call his teammates to try and get to the line. Here's Miles Partridge, sixth touch, but you feel that Miles Partridge, when he gets going, he could be such a key player.
I mean, I think we've seen just in one set of six there the way that Sharks are going to set up when they get attacking opportunities. Matty Watts out there controlling matters, kind of dictating the play, bringing people like Miles into the game with their striking ability. It's going to be the way they look to move Blades around, and we'll see how it goes.
Here come the Northwest Blades yet again. Into the centre it goes. Ryan Mimshek, of course, such a key player in this Blades side. It's just two sides that are just packed full of talent, international experience. It really is almost mouth-wateringly good.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people who, if you're familiar with touch, if you've been watching the England sides and some of the club competitions, you'll know a lot of the names. You know the skill sets that we've got on show. Some of the long balls, some of the pace that they're able to deliver. But what's good about the way the game's developing in this country is that, you know, in order to be successful in this competition, you've got to look beyond those big names. You've got to have a squad of 14 or 16 players who are really able to hold their own amongst all of these top players, because while they're getting better and better as well, they need the support around them. They need everyone to be able to keep up, to play the right defensive shapes, to set up attacking opportunities and get in good positions for some of the bigger names to do their thing.
And here come the Sharks again, looking to try and get in the line, need that first score, you feel, just to settle themselves down. And Henry Stratford, of course, another key player. He's alongside Jamie Ironside there, looking to go in for the line. Oh, the touch again coming in. So the Blades have really started this game positively, and the Sharks, one of the probably slight favourites maybe going into this one after the way they played over the weekend. The Blades have really started this game well.
I mean, you always want to be careful throwing that favourites tag around. As I just said just before we came on air, I made a couple of predictions earlier in the week. I actually took Blades to take the men's Open title. I'm not, you know, my mind may have changed over the course of the week, but the thing is, finals are a very different beast. It's an old cliche, but everything almost goes out of the window. Everything that's happened up to this point, especially when you're dealing with players like Ben Meakin and Jordan Melling and Gabe Pennington. These guys are really up for a final, up for a knockout game of touch. So they're going to bring absolutely everything at the Sharks. And, you know, favourites tag going into the game 4 minutes in means absolutely nothing at this point.
And here come the Sharks, full of momentum yet again, really trying to attack that line. Just maybe some space opening on this left-hand side. What an unbelievable pass. Almost just fizzing through the air, and it was a brilliant take. It was almost like he knew it was going to come to him. He was one step ahead of the play. Brilliant from the Sharks, and they are all level after the opening couple of minutes, and it was Toby Woodward who took that pass, and what an unbelievable finish. Pass, I should say.
Very, very
Easy
good
finish.
I didn't quite catch the number, but just from looking at the way that pass has come out of the hands and the body shape, I'm going to say that was almost certainly Dom Tripp. He's got an ability to throw off balance and from awkward body positions that no one else in this country really has. The ball comes out of his hands beautifully, but his ability to contort and get himself into a position to do it is something else.
Gabe Pennington just linking up now on that left-hand side. Touch comes in. But again, really high intensity play. Jordan Melling was also in there. Here is Gabriel Pennington. Melling just to the right of him. And he switched quickly. Cameron Burkitt. And just those three just linking up in the middle of the field. Pennington now. Leota was there, the number 10. Pennington gets it back from Melling, and it looks like it's going to count. Look at what it means, the fist pump, and they're back in front, and it's just those two linking up again, and it's real quality.
Absolutely. You can see Angus Goff gets himself into a little bit of an awkward position there, making that first touch, just not able to get his body around quickly enough to get that second foot on the line, because I'm sure he's made that touch, but with just the 1 foot on the scoreline, which means he's offside and the attacker's allowed to play through.
And see if the Sharks then try and respond straight away. What a start to this final we've had 6 minutes in. Hence the Blades, who currently lead by 2 points to 1.
That's going to be given again. That's the Sharks making it look a little bit easy there. There's a load of space out there on the wing, on that open side. After setting up the strike dump on that right-hand side of the field, they've had the ability just to move the ball quickly through the hands, really under a lot of pressure. The Blades getting up decently off the line, just not able to quite get there before the passes have come away. And under a lot of pressure, Sharks have managed to get all of those passes away really, really quickly, and that's left it as a very easy finish in the corner. So it's a good comeback.
So 2 apiece then, with just under 7 minutes gone. And let's see how the Blades will respond straight away to this. There's Melling. He's linking up, but he doesn't get it back from his teammate. Adam Brimlow is there. Adam Brimlow is there again, but the 6th touchdown.
It's worth noting for those who didn't see it earlier, those who've just been following along online will have just seen what's happening on field 1. But for the second year in a row, the Blades have come into this final after an absolute nail-biter in their semi-final over on the other field, just taking it over the Southeast Taipans with a touchdown right at the end. Very similar to what they did last year. It was the same semi-final on the same pitch against the same opposition, and they won in a drop-off. So it depends on how you handle it as a player and as a coaching team. Have they used up all of their adrenaline? Has that emotional high been reached, or are they able to reset and go again for the final?
So 12 minutes then remaining of this first half. 2 apiece on the scoreline, and the Sharks looking to try and get through again. Miles Partridge gets his head down and heads towards the line. As soon as he gets going, he's hard to stop.
Yeah. So the Blades player there, I say John Liotti, he's done a good job of directing Miles back in field where he had support. I think Miles has probably got him for pace on the outside if he really wants him, but that early body position that forces back in where there's more traffic, where there's more help from the inside defenders, has probably saved him a touchdown there.
So a chance to try and attack up the line. Here's the Northwest Blades again. Although what an opportunity now given to the Sharks deep inside the Blades half on the 10-metre mark is Miles Partridge.
This is an excellent opportunity for the Sharks. They'll look to get 2 strikes in here, two different strike moves. It'd be interesting to see whether or not they sequence one, try to set the Blades up with something early on in the set, and then try to come maybe against the grain, maybe defy expectations with how they run the final strike moves. We'll see what they go for.
Matty Wall is there in the link-up with Howard.
Yeah, it's a good read there. They've gone for a little fake ML. They've set up with Dom Tripp as the decoy runner on the right side and got it back off the floor to Matty Watt, but it's well read by the Blades link there.
There is Howard again, linking back up with Tripp, going out wide. Oh, just dies in front. An opportunity to go in front is lost, and but again, the Sharks are really showing good intent.
Yeah, I mean, what Sharks are showing is that they've got the ability to score in pretty much any hole they want. And what's impressive from the Blades in their defence so far is they've been quite active. They've been proactive in coming forward off the line and saying, we know you've got the ability to kind of throw this ball all over the place, but we're going to give you as little time as possible to be able to do it. There are spaces available for the Sharks, but if they want to hit them, they've really got to hit them fast, because Blades are putting pressure on the ball player and really giving them as little time as they can. I'm really impressed with some of the Blades' defence so far. It's been really, really proactive, and it'll be interesting to see how the Sharks decide to respond.
As we go into the halfway point of this first 20 minutes, and at the moment, nothing to separate them, 2 apiece. The Sharks looking to try and get that score in front, and let's see if they can do just that. They've really put the pressure on in the last final couple of minutes, and want to try and show something for it as well.
There's number 11, your danger man on the field right now. There he comes.
And again, just stopped in front.
So they've forced the penalty, but Henry Stratford there, that's someone that this particular set of players on the field for Sharks, they're going to look to get Henry in those positions because he's got unbelievable acceleration, and he's going to be a danger coming around on this sweeper again if he can take the short side.
And spread out to this left-hand side, and as easy as that, it just looked so quick and incisive and just carved through them. And Toby Woodward has another score to his name.
Now, you see, that's a classic case of the commentator being, one stage behind one of the teams and exactly on the right page with the other. The Northwest Blades defence is thinking exactly like I am. They're thinking about the threat of Henry Stratford coming around on the sweep, and the Sharks have had the intelligence to recognise that and come back against the grain on that little sweeper quarterback move, we call it, and then they put a good long ball out to the wing. So that's going to be a fascinating battle to see whether the Blades are able to keep committing to covering these pacey players, or whether they're going to have to gamble a little bit more on taking some of these against the grain moves throughout the game.
Here's Melling and Pennington, those two wanting to link up again. Here's Jordan Melling going in for the line, needs to sweep out to the right side. It was just behind his man that he was trying to pin out his teammate, and he was fisting at some serious pace, and it just couldn't be taken. So it remains only that 1 point in it. Sharks leading by 3 points to 2, and look at this high line defence again from the North-East Blades, looking to try and apply the pressure early. Gabriel Pennington up on his man early. Here's Miles Partridge trying to skip round Pennington up and towards the halfway. Here's Dominic Tripp. Again, really good momentum, although it's just slowed down a tad. Here's Partridge, he can get going when he's on the ball. Here's Dominic Tripp, looks to go out wide. We've seen that before. Brilliant work around the outside, and it's good defensive work from the Blades. A good defensive set in general for the Northwest Blades, I should say, and they were happy with that one, weren't they?
Absolutely. I mean, the Sharks have got dangerous players who can strike from anywhere on the field, but if you're going to have Dom Tripp picking up on a scoop, you want it happening from 20 metres off your scoreline. It just gives you so much more time to recover. So it's good from the Blades to be able to shut down that early in the drive. It's easy to sort of think that it all happens at the business end of the field, but when you've got to drive the length of the field, it's a good effort if you can get all the way down there and have a good strike on the last touch. If you're able to stop a team from doing that, then you're really going to minimise their opportunities. So it all happens at the start of a set.
Ben Meakin was involved in that one, just trying to find his teammates, and just falls short, so it won't count for this time around. Sharks still have that slender advantage by 3 points to 1, although the Northwest Blades are still knocking on the door, still applying the pressure, but the momentum in these Sharks attacks, they're taking some stopping, and the Blades are doing all they can. And a lovely pick up by Henry Stratford. He enters into the goal zone trying to find support, so can't find it, but again it's just so good to watch. It's just that flow and momentum. It's almost impossible to stop, isn't it?
It's a good bit of scramble defence from the Blades there, but as soon as you see that little chink in the defensive line about 15 metres out, if I think it might have been Jamie Ironside or Angus Goff on that occasion, is just able to find a deeper defender, and you can just see Henry Stratford's eyes light up. You can just see he just starts to accelerate onto the ball, and if he gets that opportunity, as I said, he's got the acceleration to go away from almost everyone. But well done, Blades, for covering it up.
So at the moment, the Sharks still with that momentum behind him. Can they try and finish this off? Here's the number 8 for the Sharks. They find that support, do they? It looks like they do. It is. Well, what a potential moment in this first half. Let's have another look at this again. Really good work to get themselves into the penalty area. And it was that number 8, Angus Goff, for the Sharks, who got in there. And how crucial that potentially could be, that 2 point advantage.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a fantastic example of kind of the level that the Sharks team is operating at. What they've called there, they've called for someone to come back on a bit of a trail ball inside Angus Goff. Looked like a swinger setup where someone's going to come round on a sweeper move, and Angus is going to look to feed them back inside. But Angus and all of the players around him have got that awareness to recognise that the Blades have read that, so they've got to go to the next option, which is for Angus to go straight through. And it takes a lot of sophistication, a lot of time within the game to be able to make these reads on the field in front of you. So really good stuff from Angus Goff there.
And the Sharks looking to press again. Look at the momentum, Dominic Tripp again. We've seen that so many times, and Toby Woodward was there. It was almost a carbon copy. It is incredible, the speed and the accuracy that Dom Tripp can get on those passes.
It's very, very impressive. I think someone in the England touch setup has done a lot of slow motion video analysis and has looked at some of the speeds of the ball coming out of players' hands at the very top level. And Dylan Hennessy, who's an Australian men's open star, he has got over anyone else in the world game an extra 4 or 5 miles an hour on his passes than anyone else. And when you're talking about the fine margins that you're dealing with in touch, you just got to get a little fingertip on the shirt. That really does make a difference. It's not just about the ball looking pretty coming out of your hands. It's about those fine margins and that real pace that you've got to get on the ball to create space.
So Evan Michaels just in support of that man Dom Tripp. Here is Michaels, one of the youngsters in this side. Jamie Ironside is now there with him in support. Just toying with the defence, and Michaels there in support. He gets it now eventually and hands it back over to his supporting man. And going over the line, it looks like it's going to be a fifth for the Sharks. It certainly is. They were patient this time around. And brilliant work, determined, and over the line they go.
There it is, no decoy that time. This time Henry Stratford does come round on the sweeper, and George Price has got a good defensive position to start with, but it was a clean roll ball, and at that point it's a foot race between a man side pedalling and a man going full speed ahead, and I think Henry was always going to fancy his chances there.
Yeah, he's really good at exploiting that space. He just sees it. And he went for it, and he drove over the line, and that's the fifth, and the gap is now just forming. Ben Meakin looks to try and do something about it with Gabe Pennington. Pennington getting it back from that man, and it just all seems a bit scrambled in front of that goal line, just almost at too much urgency in a sense.
Yeah, and contrast that to the way the Sharks have defended that. Will Seracold, number 2, the link there on that far side, he's playing patiently. He's playing what he sees in front of him, rather than overcommitting to something and giving the Blades some space. I mean, Will's one of the best defenders in the country, there's no doubt about that, and that's a perfect example of why.
And the Sharks again full of momentum, driving on forward, and Matt Wall looked to try and get through then. Here is Miles Partridge, and just lays it off for Matt Wall, and again it just feels a lot more patience and biding their time over it, but turnover.
Well, it's easy to be patient when you're 5-2 up in the first half, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is, and it's in terms of the Blades getting back into this one, what would you say to them, Ed? Is it just sort of just keep your composure, you know you can do the job, just keep going and you'll find those chances coming to the fore?
Well, I don't want to call it too early. I would say it's an unintentional pun here. It's an uphill struggle for the Blades from this point, because it doesn't look like much on the screen, it doesn't look like much on TV, but that field is on quite a bit of a slope, and it's like the pitch at Lord's. You can't see it on TV, but it makes a huge difference. And I reckon over the course of a game, the slope is worth 1.5 to 2 touchdowns per half in a men's game.
And again, a beautifully floated out pass.
Huge ball out from Dom Tripp. It's just easy.
Tripp and Woodward just linking up again, and you just have to admire it. It was a brilliant pass, and again, just where the defence went, they just sucked them in, did the Sharks, and Woodward has just had, one of the most easiest hat-tricks he'll probably get in his life.
Yeah, I mean, when I spoke earlier about the pressure that Blades were able to put on the ball, you can see there that's an example of it not happening. Dom's got time to wind up that pass and have a look for his receiver while the defence is still going backwards. If they're coming forwards towards him, because they've got onside nice and early, it puts more pressure on.
And here we go, the Northwest Blades, they needed that score just before the break, just to give them some momentum going into the half-time interval, and it was good work in the end by Toby Phillips going over the line, and with seconds remaining in for this first half, that will just give them that bit of energy boost, won't it?
Yeah, I said I really didn't want to call this one too early. I'd say it's very much advantage Sharks, but these Northwest Blades are the most competitive bunch of lads out there, so there's no way they're going to lie down in the next 20 minutes.
And that brings a close then to this opening 20, and it is the South East Sharks who are currently leading by 6 points to 3, but don't go anywhere. This could go any which way. These Northwest Blades lads, like Ed said, will fight to the bitter end, and we'll be back for the second 20 minutes in a couple of moments' time.
The boys are playing incredibly well. They're better than I've ever seen them play. We haven't used the full extent of our playbook, predominantly due to the weather conditions, but it's a slight shame. But they're doing their basics incredibly well, getting us down the park and getting us into a scoring situation almost every driving set. The thing for me is really the team cohesion. That winning these games, winning gold was never the goal for these boys. My goal for them was to get as many of the age-appropriate lads into the men's open training squad for 2020, and it's just fantastic to watch some of them really click, really start to play to their full potential. And I'm going to work very hard with the men's open coaches to make sure the boys that are of an appropriate age get a shot at the open title.
It's been tough, but the result is exactly what we wanted. I'm incredibly proud. It was a really good campaign, and we've been very blessed with a very good cohesive team that has all worked together incredibly well, but couldn't have done anything without the assistant coaches of Keish and Catherine and Matt managing, and all the background help from the high performance team and Pippa. 13 debutants is probably a record for any junior touch team. I think I lost quite a few of the kids from last year, went up into 18s, managed to hang on to 3. The team just gelled straight away. We got working with lots of teamwork, and they just did brilliantly.
Bronze first year, and then we've had silver last year, and then we've done it. Finally got the gold. So I could not be more proud of such an amazing group, and so much youth and talent in that team. We've got 3 14-year-olds winning mixed 18s. It's incredible. Like, the future for England Touch is, it starts here, and it's looking really, really bright.
Business as usual, I must say. I'm quoting Sammy Phillips, High Performance, who has just said that, we've been professional throughout the whole tournament. They have so much self-belief, and they absolutely love working for their team and putting on that England jersey.
Couldn't be happier. This has been a sensational weekend for England Touch. 4 gold medals. I don't think we've never achieved that before at JTC, and we're ecstatic. It shows that our high performance programme is working, and the athletes we're starting to create are fantastic, and we're so proud of them. Absolutely incredible to be unbeaten at championships in every division. So hats off to our coaching team and to the athletes themselves for producing such an outstanding result.
So at the break in this men's final between the South East Sharks and the Northwest Blades, the Sharks having the better of it. They currently hold that advantage by 6 points to 2. But before we get underway in this second half, we'll go down to pitch side, where I believe Chris is down there.
Thanks, Brad. I've got Ben Powell, England Touch High Performance Director, with me. Ben, normally the first 2 days of this tournament, we've been talking at the very start of the day. Today we're talking just about at the end, with only 20 minutes more touch, unless this goes to a drop-off. In terms of how's your overall assessment of this weekend?
Yeah, it's been a fantastic weekend. Started off with the junior final on Saturday afternoon with the under-15s, right through to the men's open final this afternoon. immensely high standard of touch across all divisions, as demonstrated at the moment in the men's open final as well.
And the two finals before that, starting off with the Wildcats who pushed the Sharks all the way, and then the Taipans and the Sharks. There's always a little bit of a grudge match there with the Southeast Derby.
Yeah, the mixed division's been really interesting, topsy-turvy on day one. I don't think the Sharks actually won a game on day one, and the Wildcats gave them a hiding in their first game. So to come back from that, make the final and perform really, really well. The Sharks have done fantastically well. The women's open final was phenomenal. Potentially the highest standard of women's touch we've seen at the national tournament, and a huge credit to the Southeast Taipans, who were down at half time and came back to win it by one.
Just reflecting on the junior competition as well, given the number of teenagers who are playing in the adult, in the opens category this year, meant that we may have had less experienced players and younger players in amongst that competition. But can that be only good in the longer run?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, on paper, yes, but actually in reality, it's probably led to, as I said, the highest standard we've seen at the Touch Nationals. So only good for the future. And there are some junior stars out there on show at the moment in this final as well.
And of course, the next job for you is, and the rest of the coaches, and you've been hard at work behind the scenes in terms of putting together the high performance squads for the winter training. How tough has it been, or in this situation, is it just a case of just getting people into that squad, giving them an opportunity to show what they can do in the next level up?
Yeah, it's a balancing act. Obviously, we've got incumbent squad players that have just been to the Touch World Cup, and then we've got a fresh fleet of players that either didn't make the World Cup side or are new to the program. So it's finding a balance with how we look at those players, and then how we bring them on. We came with a very blurry picture. We've left with a blurry picture simply because, and it's a really good problem, there is so much talent out there. So we've got a tough job ahead of ourselves to narrow these squads down. We can't take everyone, unfortunately, but we look forward to announcing those in the coming weeks.
And as we see, just a near miracle play from the Northwest Blades. In terms of how do you see this one panning out in the second half?
Yeah, look, I think just prior to half-time there was potential for maybe a blowout by the Sharks. Northwest got themselves back on the board just before the half-time hooter. So we'll see where the first touchdown goes. I think if Sharks get it, they're in control. But the Northwest, they don't know how to give up, really. So they're going to push them all the way.
Well, we'll see how that goes. Back to Brad with Ed Budge in the commentary box to see you through the conclusion of this match and the conclusion of the tournament.
Well, thank you very much, Chris. And the words of Ben Powell there down on the pitch side, and they've just timed it to perfection to come back to us. And it is the Southeast Sharks and that man, Matt Watt, who goes over the line, and it looks like he's just bundled into the fence as well, taking a bit of a knock, but Matt Watt will be absolutely delighted to get on the board, and he's just hobbling away, and the Sharks now lead by 7 points to 3.
I think it's a long way to that fence. I think Watty's just fallen over on Howard. Get on the score sheet. He does so much work setting up for other people. It's nice to see him get one himself.
And here come the Northwest Blades looking to try and get back into this game straight away. Here is Johnny Leota. Cameron Burkett is there as well, alongside Toby Phillips is just in your picture as well. Here's Johnny Leota. Cameron Burkett just picks up the loose ball that was there. Trying to drive on through Leota. Over the head of Burkett. Here's Phillips. Maybe space on this left-hand side. Phillips bundled to the floor. Pressure from Henry Stratford.
I think that's a good defensive intervention there. I think it's a little bit of a harsh call. I think that's it's like Gareth Hines. I think it's just given that as a referee. I think the player's momentum has taken him into that touch, and sometimes people fall over. That's just how it goes. But it gives the Blades another opportunity.
Yeah, looking to try and go in for the line straight away. Johnny Leota. And Leota again. Cameron Burkett also there, opts to go to his right, and then the ball flinged out. Looks like the score's been given, and Leota, Cameron Burkett linking up there, and then the pass flinged out towards the right hand side. Lovely take, and it was.
I mean, that's your bread and butter there for the Blades. I was just thinking, are we going to see something new, something innovative? But if you had to pick their primary weapon, it's going to be Jordan Melling's left hand, and I'm not sure. Was that Jordan Melling who's just thrown that? I think it might well have been. But either way, that's going to be the most dangerous weapon in their arsenal.
And here come the Sharks yet again trying to respond. Dominic Tripp, we've seen it a couple of times. Here's Miles Partridge trying to get the ball over, and it ricochets back into the hands again.
Yeah, it's a good intervention there. You can see the wing for Blades just starting to cheat out on the outside there, just starting to go towards the wing because Dom's hit him so many times. And
here he comes again, ball floated out. Oh, what a superb take. That pass was to absolute perfection. And Harry Richards, all he had to do was collect it, and time is run.
Yeah. That's a clinic on sequencing. That's Dom Tripp playing with Liam Lawton for going back into the first half, about 3 or 4 consecutive strikes. They've thrown a lot over his head. Liam on that previous one is just starting to cheat out to the outside, and Dom's hit the link on that passive line, and they just managed to survive. So Dom's able to hit both of those options, and then on that final one where they get the score, Liam has seen that passive line to the link, just started to cheat back inside, and Dom's had the awareness to read the space over to the wing. That's a bit of a sequencing masterclass there from Sharks.
As the Blaze looking to try and respond straight away. Here's Phillips now. It's over towards the right-hand side. Phillips gets it back, looking to go in for the corner.
It was around this time of the game in last year's final where Blades brought out a really, really innovative strike move, which I'd never seen before, which I think they've been keeping in their locker for just such an occasion. So I wonder if they've got anything to show for us today. And to be honest, if they have, then it's about 5 minutes overdue at this point. So let's keep an eye out.
Yeah, they need some magic now, do the Northwest Blades. They're going to try and get back into this final. At the moment, the Sharks have got all the momentum, the wind in their sails, looking to drive forward yet again. But this time around, it doesn't come to fruition. So turnover back for the Blades, and they can just breathe a sigh of relief, and they'll come again deep inside their own half, looking to try and drive forward. They need to get some big, powerful, strong yards up the field.
As I said, the wind in their sails, but also just as relevantly a sort of a 1 in 15 slope in their favour in the second half. The driving game is going to get much harder for Blades, and it's just going to be about heart at this point. It's going to be about fighting through the fatigue and taking every yard you can get, because they're not going to come for free against a good team going up the hill.
Absolutely, yeah. The hill is a potential really crucial factor in maybe who's going to win this final. At the moment, the Sharks well on course to do so. There is Johnny Leota. They need a special 12 minutes from him to get back into this. There's Ben Meakin. They need him as well to summon every ounce of energy that he's got left. And look at this long pass, and that potentially could be the score they need and the piece of play they need. And Ben Meakin getting that ball out wide, and a lovely take and a elegant finish, and the score just to 3 now.
Yeah, I think some of the Sharks may be calling for a forward pass there, but I think the momentum's with Ben Meakin, and the referees have allowed it to go. May have called it too early in the first half, saying that no one throws long when they're off balance, quite like Dom Tripp. But Meeks isn't that far behind, and that's a fantastic ball to keep them in contention. To be honest, this game's not over.
Absolutely, with just over 11 minutes remaining, if Northwest Blades can just see out this attacking phase and mount a charge of their own. This is important now, important moment of the game. Let's see if they can do so. Miles Partridge trying to get towards the goal line, and almost with his pace and his skill just loses his footing again. Back into the side to that man, Matt Wall. Dom Tripp, Wall again.
You see there was that little bit of innovation coming from the other team on that previous strike move. It's something we don't see very often in this country. I think they call that a taipan in Australia. It's something that they've been working on in some of the Australian sides for the last few years, but it's very rarely seen. So I think that's a new one that Sharks have brought out there.
And again, another opportunity now here. Max Howard trying to get the ball back as quickly as possible.
Which they will do, I reckon, for about another 2 minutes, and then they start thinking about the clock just a little bit. I heard Tom Devereux in commentary with you a couple of days ago saying what, a score every 2 minutes or thereabouts.
Yes, yeah, that was the talk. Yeah, absolutely. Here is Matt Watt back inside Dominic Tripp, and here we go again, and it looks like the touch has just come in time, has it?
Yeah, good touch there, good chase out.
Here's Max Howard back inside. Dom Tripp just laying it off back to Howard. Here's Matt Watt. Watt again looking to go left with Tripp, and then Partridge going in over the line. He got down initially, and then that salmon leap forward.
I've never seen a salmon who's 6'4". Miles Partridge has an ability to get a ball from 6 feet off the ground to on the ground in a speed that I've never seen anyone else do it before.
He really is a talented player, is Miles Partridge. But here's Dom Tripp and Matt Watt again. Watt going off left to Howard. Howard leaving it to his teammate Watt, and Watt going in, trying to get to the edge of the goal line. The pass is just too long to find his teammate, so the Blades stand against that pressure, and now they've got the opportunity to see if they can try and drive forward.
Yeah, they're starting to compete a little bit more, Blades, actually. They're starting to go to maybe a little bit more of a man-on scheme. Earlier in the first half, so they were getting good pre-touch and putting pressure on the ball, and then they fell away from that a little bit when Sharks started racking up some scores. I think maybe they've had a talk at half-time and started to try to go with the runners and started to try to compete. So the Sharks' response to that would probably be to throw in a few step backs and really start to go direct at the line and maybe score up the middle with some good dives. But I think Blades have had a bit of a talk and ever so slightly changed their defensive system to just chase out a little bit more.
Blades looking to try and go in again, but it's withstood, and the Sharks now just take a deep breath in and look to try and get up the other end. Driving forward the Sharks again, up towards halfway.
It's okay from the Blades, fifth touch coming and a long way from the line. We'll see what they can do. Oh, goodness me.
Wow, what a run that was. And then, there we go, just to finish off. He can't stop himself from going into the crowd. But a brilliant effort. Henry Stratford, a brilliant run, and found his partner, Angus Goff. And as easy as that.
I mean, it's to be expected from Henry. We talked about this acceleration already, and his ability to go from nowhere to full speed in about 3 paces is incredible. But it comes a little bit from a little miscommunication there from the Blades on the drive. You can see that both of those two defenders in the middle have kind of both gone into the touch together. And if they think they're both the toucher, they both go to their short side, and that's what's left a hole up the middle.
Ball flinged out towards the left-hand side. Does the touch come in time? I don't think it does, and there we go, another instant response from the Northwest Blades.
So they're not going to lie down, they're not going to give up. This game isn't over until the final whistle goes. Bring out all the cliches this afternoon, but with this, I've seen this too many times from this Blades team. This ability to hang in. They've been in the last 2 finals before this one. They've won one, they've lost one, but they're never done. They never stop trying. They never stop fighting.
And here come the Sharks again. As soon as the Blades respond, can they try and hold out this next attack from the South East Sharks? Howard's in there. Here's Matt Watts trying to go through a lovely little flick pass. This is superb. Oh, and it was so unlucky. Potentially,
he's giving
is he going to give it? He is going to give it.
Oh, that is. If you're a touch coach and if you've ever tried to design a move, that's the touchdown of the weekend, without a shadow of a doubt. They've gone to this, what I think is a taipan, whatever it is. It's a move variation, and they conditioned them with one earlier. The Blades have just started to read open side, but they brought that little switch ball back in and found the space. That's absolutely fantastic from the Sharks. That's some of the most sophisticated touch we've ever seen in this country. I'm really impressed.
That was simply breathtaking from the South East Sharks, and they have restored that 4-point lead, and they are well on their way at the moment. Can the Blades respond straight away with their own move, looking to get out wide? It looks like they potentially have they? They certainly did, and what a couple of minutes we've had here in this men's final. The Northwest Blades responding straight away.
I mean, this is this is amazing to watch from a coach's perspective, because that is a sort of third variation, I think, from that setup from Blades. where they've conditioned the defence to go a certain way, and they're on at least their third option from that. And to be able to pull that off and have the execution there, have everyone knowing where they're going and how the move's going to play out on what I think is a third option from a particular setup is really, really impressive.
So the score being reduced to 10-7, and with under 5 minutes then remaining. Let's see if the Sharks can hit back straight away, or they're going to just take the sting out of the game. Have they even got that mindset? They just want to just keep going. Matt Watt going to his left, and touch called by the referee.
I think what we've seen in the last few minutes is just us really, really impressed with the sophistication of the moves from both teams. If you're new to touch and maybe you've been playing for a year or two, then you'll know a few strike moves. You'll know how a sweeper works, or a hammer, or an ML, or a short, or something like that. And you might think a little bit that you've got one strike player, and that's, if you call a move, then that's where the move goes. But we just see this develop. Yeah, just closed down there. But the fact remains that with every move there's 6 defenders, which means 7 gaps. And from any setup you can score in all 7, and there's another one there.
Miles Partridge this time around gets that dive in early, gets that long reach, and Miles Partridge adds another one to the board for the Sharks. And that gap has been extended to 4. It's 11-7 on the official scoreboard. 3.5 minutes left remaining.
Yeah. And I think while I've been sort of marvelling out loud at some of the quality and the sophistication of some of the touch, I think we've reached the point now with 3 minutes to go where the game is probably beyond Northwest Blades, and I think Sharks are probably going to take this one home. But there's been a lot to admire from both teams in this game. So sometimes I don't really care what the score is. I'm just watching some good touch.
It certainly has been high quality touch between these two sides, and Northwest Blades responding again. This has been an incredible final.
See, they're never finished, they're never done.
They just keep on going. They just never know when they're beaten, this Northwest Blades side. And again, going through it might be too little too late.
Yeah. 2 Sharks players both defending within about 6 feet of the sideline there. I think if they weren't 4 touchdowns up with 2 minutes to go, there'd be a bit of a roasting coming for that. But it's been a long weekend. Everyone's hot, everyone's tired.
It certainly has been. What a weekend it's been here in St Ives, Cambridgeshire. The weather has just been incredible, and credit to all the players over the weekend who have put on a fantastic show. And this final has lived up to be a really good, intense, quality, high-pressured final. Both sides giving it their absolute all, and it looks like the Sharks are going to come out on top after the Northwest Blades really have put in a good shift, but it looks like it's not going to be enough.
I mean, we always seem to get one tight final and one that's a little bit more open, and the women's open finals delivered that nail-biter right to the end, with the Sharks taking this one by a little bit more. It always seems to be one that goes right down to the wire, and one that's a little bit more comfortable. But nevertheless, some great touch played in both competitions. I've been really, really happy with everything I've seen this year.
And here we go. What an interception that was. Has the touch come in? It doesn't look like, and it's going to be the perfect end to what has been a brilliant final. And the Sharks and Dominic Tripp, what a final he's had. He's had a sensational game. He's put on a load of assists, and he's quite rightly got himself a score as well.
2 years in a row where Dom has just taken the final by the scruff of the neck and just made it his own. He was outstanding against Blades last year at the same stage, and has really, really been fantastic again today.
So into the final minute, and it's pretty much all but confirmed now for the Sharks. Just the formalities, that final whistle as the Blades look to come again. They just keep coming and coming at you, but the Sharks have stood up to everything so far. And going out to the right and coming back into the centre is Phillips, looking to go left, finds his support. Do they get over the line in time?
You're not going to get outside Henry from that range, unfortunately.
And even at this late stage with the game all but one, the Sharks still want to be resolute and defend well. And the seconds are ticking down here in St Ives, Cambridgeshire, of what has been a tremendous final. Some brilliant scores, some brilliant individual play, some team play as well. And we are hearing the hooter now. And there we go. That is full time, and it's victory for the South East Sharks. And what a performance. It's been some standout performances as well. But just a quick word on this South East Sharks side. What a performance.
It's fantastic. Fantastic performance from the Sharks. They've been building through this for the last few years. I think that's 3 titles in the last 4 years. No, one of them, and they've won the last 2 without me. But I will say this: that is the most tactically sophisticated game of touch I've seen in this country, and it's a real credit to the way all of these teams are developing together and being familiar with all of the structures of the game. And if you're fairly new to the game, or if you're just starting developing through touch, have a look at this game again. Have a look at some of those scores and try to work out how they were created and how the attacking players have found and recognised the space. It was really, really something fantastic to behold today. A great way to finish a really, really good weekend.
It certainly has been. What a fantastic couple of days we've had here in St Ives, Cambridgeshire, and rounding off with a tremendous men's final, which the South East Sharks have taken the gold medals. Well, Ed, thank you very much for joining me in the commentary box.
You're very, very welcome. It's been a pleasure.